Hey guys, what's up? Brian here with a 3D motion tracking tutorial. I'm kind of sick right now, so excuse me if I cough a little bit or yeah. And yeah, so let's get started. So open Vegas. I'm using Vegas right now. You're gonna need Cinema 4D and Boujou, and you can also use After Effects, but I prefer Vegas. So yeah. Anyways, get your whatever your video you want to track. Get it into Vegas and color correct it, whatever, do whatever you want, but make sure it's exactly what you want. You can't have any leftovers. So yeah, so you're gonna have to render two different video clips. So create a folder called sequence and put that in another blank folder, name it, call it whatever, it doesn't matter. So you're gonna have to export it. You're gonna have to export the first one in your sequence folder. I just called it SEQ for sequence. And you're gonna have to export it as an image sequence and JPEG. I prefer JPEG, but I don't think it matters. Yeah, so export that. I already have it exported. And then the second clip you're gonna have to export, which is gonna be in your other, not your sequence folder, but the folder right outside of that. Export it as an MP4, and I made a template called Boujou already. But as you can see, the main thing you need to change is your frame rate. When you import a HD PVR clip into Vegas, it'll put it in like 59.94, I think, and you have to change that to 29.97, which is the NTSC, whatever. I don't know what that means, but if you do not change that, if you render it as just this 59.94, it'll mess up everything and your track will be completely off. So make sure you do that, and you can look at these settings if you want. Audio doesn't matter. To make a little template for yourself. But yeah, so render that out as another video. So yeah, okay, now we can open Boujou. It's called Boujou 5. If you don't have it, you are going to need it. So yeah, so open Boujou, push import sequence. Now look for your folder where you saved both of those video files. Let's see, where am I just made a little folder called Boujou track. Alright, so open your sequence folder and open the first image that you saved, and it'll find the entire sequence. All right, change your frame rate to 29.97, and it's really weird. I don't know if it's just mine or everyone's, but for some reason, whenever I import mine, it actually changes the frame rate for me, even though I tell it to put it at 29.97. So just go into go from toolbox to task view, camera 1. Double click on sequence 1 and then change the frame rate to 29.97. Still not sure why it does that, but whatever, I just have to change it every time. Alright, so push track features. Pretty much what this is going to do is just track everything it possibly can in the sequence. Like, it just, like, you can see how they're just like things are jumping around, but after the next step, it'll eliminate all the bad tracks and give you just good ones. So yeah, this takes some time, depends on your computer, but Boujou is the quick part of the work. Cinema 4D takes so long to export, so yeah. Alright, let's go. Okay, so after this is done, you're gonna push camera solve, and this is gonna eliminate some of the bad tracking points. Alright, camera solve. I just ignore those. I don't know what that is doing. Alright, and then advanced solve refinement. You don't have to just ignore this stuff. Do all frames. Just leave it. Start super quick. Ignore it. Alright, so if you scrub through now, you can see how it actually has the points like on objects. It actually looks really cool. So now what we have to do is actually create a ground, because what I want to do is I want to have my track set up right here on top of this wood like overhang thing. And if we don't have a ground, it'll have no idea where like I can cast shadows and all that kind of stuff. So setting up a ground is key here. This is probably the most important part of the track. So what you want to do is go to scene geometry. I'm going to put it over here. Add from coordinate hint. You're going to make an x-axis and a y-axis. So the x-axis is for side to side. I don't know if you know like graphs, but x goes from side to side and z is depth. So you're going to create a ground, and I want my ground to be on top of that wood. So for my x, you have to find 2 points. So I'm going to do, let's see what would be good for x. So I'll do like this point, and this point. so it's like it matches up with that little roof thing, and then push connect to selected. So that's for X, and then I go up to my Z. Gonna find some depth ones. Let's see here. Let's see. We'll do this one and this one. Hold Control to get them both. Connect to selected, and then the last one you have to do is an origin point, which is scrub somewhere through the middle of the clip and find one that's like in the middle of your, that you want to be the middle of your floor. And I don't have one that's directly in the middle, but it's close enough, so I'll do that. And then after you have all these points, I have my X, my Z, and my origin, my closest to center. Once you have all that, push update coordinate frame, and that'll update your scene geometry, which will pretty much create a floor. And then you can scrub through and see everything. And then if you want to see if it worked, you can do add test subjects. And I don't know why, but pretty much how I tell is it that little writing under it right there, that Boujou writing. If that should be where the floor is, that's about, I have about the right track. And you can see how if that test object did go through the floor, that Boujou would be half covered up by the ground. But yeah, so that covers the Boujou part. Now to export, go to export, camera solve. You want to be using Cinema 4D, so obviously Cinema 4D. See, let me find where I'm going to save it. Save it in that same folder. I'll call it Cinema 4, or I'll just call it Camera Solve 1. And make sure, yes, it's a Cinema 4D file. Okay, and here, this is the important part. Make sure you scale the scene by 100, because if you don't, it'll ruin everything. So make sure you do that. All this is good. It's sequence 1, camera solve. Okay, save. You're done with this. All right, so you're done with Boujou. Now moving on to Cinema 4D. Let me open it up here. Yeah, Susan, some changes. I don't care. God, my desktop is so messy. Cinema 4D takes forever to open, and it also takes forever to render. You'll realize that once you start rendering stuff. If you haven't already, it takes forever to render. Alright, so open. Let's see what we got here. Where is it? Boujou track. Okay, so you're going to open your camera solve that you saved. Scale 10, that's fine. You don't need to change that. And also, if I'm going too fast for you guys, you can just pause it or slow it down or rewind, whatever, it doesn't matter. So extend, these are your frames, so extend them out so you have the full range of your frames, not just the first 90. Okay, so make a new material, double click, type in BG for background. This is what I like to do. Get rid of specular, just uncheck it, go to color, load image, go back to that folder that has that the second video you rendered, and I just called it track 1, but it's the one you rendered in 30 frames, or 29.97, sorry. Open that. Okay, click on it, animation, make sure you calculate. What that does is calculates the frame rate of this video according to the project. So get that. Alright, now hold Control and drag this over to copy, creates another one. Call this GI for global illumination. What this is going to do is this will allow you to create shadows when we do a global illumination render. And change this to luminance. Check that. Go back to color. Copy this texture and put it in the luminance. So yeah, like that. And then you're going to need to create a floor, a background, and a sky. Alright, and if you're not familiar with Cinema 4D, make sure you change your render settings. I usually use HD, where is it? Whoa, where is it? Oh yeah, I use 1080 29.97. I think that's the best. And then I do QuickTime Movie, and let me find where I'm gonna save it in that same folder. Let's see. So much stuff. We should call it Final 3D track. Alright, I'll put, and then make sure you have all frames. It says current frame, make sure it has all frames. Alright, and then you have to add the global illumination effect. that all you have to do is push effect and then global illumination, and it automatically does it. So now that you have your sky, background, and floor, add your background to background, obviously, and background to floor, and then with your global illumination text, add that to your sky, because that'll create shadows. Alright, so you obviously don't want this floor, this disgustingness right here. So what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to hide the floor. So you're gonna go to Cinema 4D. I'm sorry. You want to hide your sky. So you go to Cinema 4D tags, compositing, scene by camera. No, that'll allow you to actually see your whatever, your background. Now go to floor, Cinema 4D tags, compositing. You want to turn off self-shadowing, turn on compositing background, and then click on the actual texture of floor and change shadow project, or just projection, to frontal. This will change the shadows, so you can actually, and you can see through the floor. All right. And this, I didn't take very long on the scene geometry, but you can tell the floor is a little bit above, but it matches up pretty well with that what I was trying to track earlier, that wood little roof thing. Alright, so now once you have all your tags and your textures in and your global illumination render in, you're good to start adding stuff. And this pretty much turns into like a room, so you can just keep adding whatever you want. So I'm gonna add a text. I'll just title it. Just title it track. Flip it over. Flip it over, and then bring it down to here. Make it a little bit smaller. Alright, so I'll do a quick render right here. You can see what it looks like. So as you can see, it just looks pretty plain, but it does look pretty cool on that roof. And if I scrub through, let's say, so I'm at the beginning right now, we'll render it, you can take a look. And then if I go to the end, it should be in the same exact spot, which it is. So yeah, that looks pretty good. Now, everything looks good except for the color. So what you want to do, what I usually do, if you want, let's say you want to add a color, go to color, make it green. I'm gonna add some transparency so it looks more realistic. Sorry, reflection, so it looks more realistic. Bring the brightness down. I'd say around 25%. That's usually good. You can play with it. Doesn't matter. Add that in. Render it. See how it looks. Yeah, that looks a lot better. So yeah, that's pretty much a basic text track in Cinema 4D, Boujou, in Vegas. If you guys have any questions, just ask in the comments below. Please give it a like, and if you're really having problems, you can message me and I'll try to help you out. But yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.